Hello, friends. You've stumbled across a short clip from the Daily Switch 2 podcast, which, believe it or not, is a podcast that is about the Switch 2 with new episodes released daily. What will they think of next? Historically, secretly Nintendo don't seem to really like it when third parties are successful, even if they actually need them. Look at the N64, for example. It was dying. And then kept afloat almost entirely by Rare coming in and stepping up their game. A Western third-party developer regularly releasing the games that made people want to buy the console, to the fact that their games started being packed in with the console when people bought them. But Nintendo refused to buy Rare, and Microsoft eventually bought them instead. Now, that would have been like if Disney allowed Pixar to be bought by Dreamworks. Because don't forget, when Pixar started, they weren't Disney. When they were making Toy Story and Bug's Life and Finding Nemo, they didn't belong to Disney. They were an independent company, and then Disney used to distribute their movies on a movie-by-movie basis. But Disney were making more money from Pixar movies than they were their own animated movies for a period. So if they'd have allowed, say, Dreamworks or Blue Sky or Sony to come along and buy Pixar because they're like, nah, we don't need it. We can make our own animated movies. It's just boneheaded. It's boneheaded. Of course you buy them. And Nintendo should have bought Rare, but they didn't. But third parties have never been a priority for Nintendo. There was terrible treatment of third parties in the days of the NES. There was big success for third parties, especially people like Capcom and Konami on the NES. But they treated third parties really badly, to the point that there was massive antitrust lawsuits and anti-competitive lawsuits in America. And then on SNES, N64, GameCube, Wii, and Wii U, they had massive problems with third parties, and they didn't really seem to care or try and fix any of the problems that they had. The Switch 1 was the turnaround, and the Switch 1 has made them the most money out of any of their consoles ever by a huge margin, and a huge percentage of that is software sales. But they want to think that that was done only by their first-party games. Now, admittedly, on the Switch 1 at least, we do have a ton of excellent first-party games, and they were released very, very regularly in absolute richness. Perhaps the best first-party lineup for any Nintendo console ever, certainly the most, and released the most often. There was points where an excellent first-party game for the Nintendo Switch was released every month or two, but that's partially because it's the longest-lasting console, supported by all these other third parties on the market, and partially because they had all the excellent first-party games from the Wii U, which they could just repackage and re-release as if they were brand new games, because nobody bought a Wii U except me and the absolute hardcore. They don't have that luxury now. A game like Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example, looks absolutely incredible, but how often can a game like that realistically be released? Mario Kart World and Metroid Prime 4 both started development well over 5 years ago and were planned as Switch 1 games. So sure, Nintendo has big franchises: Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Smash Brothers, Splatoon, Animal Crossing, Metroid, Pikmin, Star Fox, F-Zero, yada yada. That's Kirby if you count HAL Laboratories second party. That's not sustainable, though, to release a high-quality title in all those series every 3 months or so. Most only get one game per generation, or even less. Some of those franchises haven't even had a game in the last generation, or two. They need big third-party releases too, otherwise it's going to feel like there aren't very many good games being released for the Switch 2, and given the expensive price of the console and those games, people just aren't going to jump on board, or they're at least going to wait and hope for a price drop and wait until there's more games that they want to buy. Well, that was funny / sad / informative / stupid, wasn't it? Feel free to mentally redact to make that make sense with the clip that you just heard. I don't know what it was. I'm just recording a bumper. But if you enjoyed the clip, please give it a like. If you'd like to hear more, click subscribe, and you can find all the ways to listen to and support the full daily podcast at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/daily switch 2. Let's go! Did I sound like I mean that? I do. I really do.